Before we get into this episode, I would like to make a quick disclaimer that all of Society Inspired's interviews and the information we share are 100% for learning experience and to hear the different sides of the various issues we discuss. We never endorse nor support violence, and we are committed to promoting peace. I want to create a safe space for learning and comfortable place for people to be able to start to speak. Hope you enjoy. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 15th episode of Society Inspired. My name is Gemma Asfor. I am a 15-year-old Palestinian American teen, and I am so excited to have Gwenna Hunter as our special guest for episode number 15. Would you like to introduce yourself, tell us your story, and also share your preferred pronouns, please?
Absolutely. And thank you so much, Gemma. My preferred pronouns are she, her. My name is Gwenna Hunter. I'm the founder of Vegans of LA, which is a community organization here, obviously, in Los Angeles. I started it back in 2015. I wasn't vegan yet, but I was vegetarian and started it just to do meetups and meet people because I was still pretty new to Los Angeles. And it just, make a long story short, it evolved, and a lot of people show up to my events, and we meet at restaurants, things like that. And and now I have the first vegan food bank in Los Angeles, which we started in May, and it's been going well.
That's awesome. Starting with your pathway to veganism, what was the thing that inspired you to become vegan?
So I won't even say it was an inspiration. It was literally a electrical jolt that put me into veganism. I think I'd had signs and symptoms throughout the years, but I didn't recognize what these messages meant. And so, well, first of all, have been vegetarian for about 8 years.
Okay.
And that was just because eating meat, it really caused me a lot of issues in my body, and my body wouldn't digest cows at all. Like, I would have these super bad reactions anytime I ate cow flesh. And so I eliminated. So my reason for being vegetarian had nothing to do with compassion. It was self-compassion, but it had nothing to do with animals or the planet. And so anyway, fast forward February 2016. I don't remember the date, but it was February 2016. It was a dream that caused me to change the way I saw life, reality, everything. So in the dream, I'm flying in the sky because, in dreams, we know how to fly. And I'm flying in the sky, and I look down and I see a really beautiful green pasture, and the pasture was like perfection, like everything was perfection. And then I noticed this really beautiful cow, and a memory came back to me. I remember looking particularly at her body and seeing sections of her body, and I wasn't understanding why these sections were being shown to me. And all of a sudden, the cow, she looked up at me, and when she looked up at me, it was like this energy, like I could see it, but it's hard to describe it, was between our eyes. And then I was the cow. So I had the cow's consciousness. I always wonder if she became me, because there was like this transfer. I don't know, but I'm starting to wonder. I'm like, I wonder if she became me and I became her. But yeah, her whole life like flashed before me. I experienced her whole life. I experienced her reality. I experienced her thoughts, giving birth, children, love, joy, pain. Like, I experienced her as a cow, and I don't even know how long it lasted. Could have been, probably, knowing how this reality works, probably a few seconds. And so I woke up from the dream, and I was already crying, like, as I was like waking up, and I was just like, oh my God, cows love. And even though I wasn't eating cows, but I didn't care if anybody else, ate cows. Again, I wasn't vegetarian for any of that. And I'm like, they're conscious, like they have awareness, and their awareness is sharp. It's not dull or fragmented, like they have complete clear awareness. And I'm like, we eat them? Like that has to be crazy. Like
Yeah.
just imagine like you visit a planet and you go and you see people that are, or you see other beings and you're like, oh, this is cool. And they look at you and all of a sudden they're hungry.
Mm,
It's like, I imagine that's how cows kind of, may think, even though we don't eat them directly because that would mean that we're supposed to eat animals. We just ate them with our bare teeth, like real animals and predators do. But yeah, so anyway, I'm crying and I'm just like, oh my God, cows love. And my mind is like being blown.
yeah.
And so I'm like, did this really happen? Because I am a very, like, I dream by nature. I pay attention to my dreams and I remember them. So I'm a believer of all of that. But at the same time, I do give myself the opportunity to be a skeptic. So I'm analyzing and I'm like, did I eat something weird? Was this, you know what I mean? I'm like questioning it. And literally while I'm wide awake and I'm laying in the bed, this warm sensation, I felt it like hovering like right above my heart. And I look and I don't see anything. And then I put my hand on it and I was like, it was the most beautiful feeling. It was peace. It was quiet. It was safe. It was unconditional. It was warm. It was everything. And it was still. It was just so beautiful. And I realized like that was my confirmation that you really had this experience and yes, this is it. And so I would say with within that week, synchronistically, I ended up seeing this 5-minute video by Erin Janis called Dairy is Effing Scary. And it's 5 minutes and it's kind of done in almost a sarcastic, humorous way, the way she's narrating it, but she's letting you see what really goes on in the dairy industry. And I was shocked because I had no idea
Mm.
how rough and mean and cruel and even though I'm a grown woman, I'm thinking still that we milk cows with our hands and the cow wants to give us the milk. Like I hadn't even questioned these things, like just living blindly. And so when I see the rape, the kidnapping, the murder, the torture, all of that, because that's exactly what it looked like, the slavery, that's exactly what it looked like. And that's like, it was the blueprint of slavery. Like it was. And so for me, I didn't, see her as like, oh my God, what we're doing to this poor cow. Like I related to her as a woman, as a female, as a divine feminine, like look at what we're doing to her body, because if these things were done to my body, I know how sensitive my breasts feel. So imagine a metal machine extracting milk from you when it's not even coming out naturally. You're constantly being impregnated. They're taking your child. You have a connection with your child. You remember your child. You want your child. And this is happening over and over and over again. It's yeah, it's criminal.
That yeah. Wow. That's an amazing dream though. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, it's scary like to think about it, but like that like connection to the conscious, that's beautiful.
yeah, and the dream was a completely beautiful experience. Like I didn't experience, and if I did, I don't remember it, but
Okay.
everything I experienced was beautiful, through the cow's eyes. And so even when I experienced like, because I knew that I experienced joy and pain, it wasn't anything at that moment that I had to connect to that feeling deep enough to make it feel scary. But everything about the dream was absolutely, just beautiful. And so once I saw that video, I was even more like mortified. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
like, I'll never like milk, like it can't even be an ingredient in a problem. Like, I'm done. I'm like, this is what I need to push me over the edge. I'm like, I'm completely done. Um,
Yeah.
and so I just felt like, I became for a short period of time, thank goodness, but I do have empathy for them, but I did become like an angry vegan for like the first 3 to 4 months because I was just like I couldn't believe that this is what we're doing as a human race, and that we're not questioning it, and we're just doing it blindly and over again. So I was like on my Facebook posting these videos and horrible stuff that, I mean, you want people to know, but you got to be very tactful in the way that you do things, because
Yeah.
people are going to just crave to watch slaughter videos. They're going to click. I don't even watch that stuff. Like, I can't watch that stuff.
Yeah, I can either.
There was a time where I could, but I can't. Yeah, I can't watch it anymore. So yeah, I realized I wasn't getting anywhere with that after about 4 months, and I snapped out of it. And I was like, okay, I got to do this with compassion and love and empathy.
Yeah.
All the things that we want to give to the animals, we have to also give it to each other.
Got it. Wow. Okay, amazing start. I love this. Okay. You already mentioned that you are the creator of the first vegan food bank in Los Angeles. What motivated you to start Vegans of LA?
So, Vegans of LA was started because a friend had encouraged me to, get in. I was, 'cause at the time I was vegetarian, and he was like, "Why don't you do something, like with vegans or vegetarians, do a meetup?" And I was like, "You know what? Something about that sounds right." I didn't know I was starting that, I was on the journey. And so I started doing like some meetups, and they were becoming really good. And then came up with the name Vegans of LA, because Vegetarians of LA that didn't sound as charming as Vegans of LA. Again, when I started, I wasn't vegan yet, because I didn't really think, I'm like, yeah, what's the big deal? Just the difference is one drinks, does dairy, the other one doesn't. But little did I know that it's a huge difference. But at the time, it wasn't. And I'm glad it wasn't a big deal. I'm glad that I didn't do this with fear. I did it with like, I'm just going to do this, whatever. And so I started Vegans of LA, and it was just supposed to be about meetups at restaurants and little fun singles parties and
Oh,
get-togethers and stuff like that. And I did do that for a while. Um, and then I got hired by an organization called Vegan Outreach, and I was doing things in people of color communities, Black and Brown communities, providing vegan meals, in exchange for having conversations about, the benefits of this lifestyle. And so did that for a few years. And during the pandemic, we shifted to doing food outreach because, there was a pandemic going on. So we started doing food outreach, and I saw how effective that was. And that led me into wanting to create a food bank.
wow. Yeah. And you also started another group called Vegans for Black Lives Matter. Can you explain to us what that group is about?
Yeah, so that group started literally at the beginning of George Floyd. And that was kind of like a divine thought. Like, it takes a lot of emotional work to create groups, because you have to create content and conversations and manage this and break up fights. And, it's like having a child, a few children at the same time. And so that was never something that I really wanted to do again. But when I got the inspired thought, I heard the word Vegans for Black Lives Matter. I'm like, oh, okay, let's see what this does. And so I created the group,
Okay.
and I had no idea what the intention was. I just felt this urge to create the group. So
Yeah.
I invited like a few friends to the group. And I was going to check back with them in a couple of weeks to talk about what we could do with this if they were interested. So I'd already started procrastinating and postponed it. And the next day I woke up and I had all these notifications. 500 people were in the group. And I was like, oh God. And so I, go in the group, and there's all of this arguing and yelling. And I'm saying yelling, you can't hear it, but I'm very empathic, so I could feel it.
Yeah.
And you can see people calling each other racist, and people saying, I've been crying all day. I didn't know. It was like so much emotion in the group. And it was that way for the probably the first couple of years, like, we learned how to work things out, and it was a huge lesson for me. This group still exists, but
Okay.
it's definitely a lot quieter. And I also plan on um, shifting the energy of the group from talking about victimization to more of a place of empowerment and
Yes.
solutions. So that's where I'm getting ready to, I'm either going to archive it or see if everybody's interested in shifting, the conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
could see it. Yeah, all that, all the emotions into one group on Facebook.
Yeah, because the issue is even in the vegan every movement, for the most part, has its division. And so I know I experienced and saw a lot of ignorance, to be polite, in the vegan community, a lot of racism, a lot of stereotype, just a lot of stuff that I'm like, this is the last thing I need to experience in a community that, and look, I've been guilty of my drama too. Like we all need to clean up our act. But I have been. But the the group taught me a lot about um not suppressing your emotions, allowing yourself to feel,
Mhm.
but also at the same time, allow yourself to feel. But if you're in a dark feeling place, just be conscious of not staying there too
Okay.
long. Move and shift.
Yeah.
You got to keep me on track because I'll start talking about other stuff.
No, you're great. We can go wherever. Um, You know. Okay, well, in interviews, I've seen you use familial language to increase empathetic connections across multiple activism topics. Can you
Mhm.
explain that language and how it is helpful for the understanding of veganism?
Well, do you mind giving an example of the language? I know you sent it to me, but do you mind repeating like an example of like the language?
Oh, yes. So you described, like you just did in like a few minutes ago, but taking like a son away from its mother, from like a cow. So you're taking its son away. And I feel like you said that creates empathy in people because they don't think of it that way. They just
Yeah.
have automatic hatred in a way.
Yeah. Because I think when we say, calves, what I mean? When we give them these names, it creates a separate, like,
Yeah.
oh, that's that over there has nothing to do with me. That's them. But when you say things like sons, daughters, mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, it's kind of almost like, whoa, I never saw them like that. It's like when I, watch that video and I'm looking at what they're doing to her body, it created such a connection because I'm like, this is a woman.
Yeah.
Cows are pregnant for 9 months. I never knew that. I didn't learn that in school. No one
Yeah.
didn't have any cow classes.
Yeah.
So it's like when I learned all these things, I'm just like, it makes you, for me, it made me, more connected. Like I have well, I watched saying say I have a cat. She has me, but I live with a cat, and her name is China, and she's very she has a very broad level of awareness.
Okay.
And when she first came into my life, I thought, like, okay, I'll have her and she's going to be cranky and be in the corner and I'll just slide her food. And like, I thought that was the life we were going to live. But she was so personal. She, like, even last night, like, she touched my face. She was like rubbing my face and just staring at me. And I'm just like, it still blows. I've had her for 15 years with me and I still get mind blown
Yeah.
at, yeah. So she's a person to me. I'm like, she's just in a fur coat. But
Yeah.
like
Even
she's
when
a,
I read that, like I'm vegan. But like that clicked for I was like I felt that. And I was like, that's painful. And
yeah.
like it yeah. it's like relating to something. I think that makes people, like, take a step back and actually, like, think about it.
Yeah, yeah, because it's like I said, we're already so incredibly divided anyhow on this planet when it comes to like gender and color and race and country and this and the street you're in, the neighborhood you're in, the way you eat, the color of your hair. Like we are in so many sections and boxes and
Yeah.
packages. Like it's so many layers. It's ridiculous. But yeah, using those type of words, I think kind of helps break the programming a little bit
Okay.
in
Yeah.
people, and then they can start to see like, oh wow, that is somebody's child.
Mhm.
Like, with baby pit, like we eat. There's a video I'm gonna be doing soon, and I say these things in here because it's true. I don't know how offended people are gonna get. Like, I'm a little nervous, but at the same time, I don't give a you know what. But we eat babies. Like, that's exactly what it is. I'm not lying. Like, we eat babies.
Mhm.
Veal, those are babies. Bacon, those are babies. Like we eat children. And so I want to say it that way so that it will, because it's like you're going to have to prove I'm lying, and you can't prove that I'm lying because I'm telling the truth. This is exactly what we do on this planet. It's weird.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Mhm.
Yeah. I like that viewpoint. I've never thought of it like that, but that clicked for me. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah.
We're it's almost like the like like zombies, like not
That's
even living.
what it is. I was just trying to think. I
Yeah,
was
it's
like, "What?" And my brain was like, "What is the thing you're trying to think of?" That's it.
yeah, it's like a planet of zombies. I mean, it's a real horror movie. Like, I mean, there's beautiful things on this planet. I'm
Literally
not
a
gonna,
horror movie.
but that part of it is a horror movie.
Yeah. Why is going vegan so important not only for our physical health, but also our mental health, especially as we continue working through this pandemic that we're in?
Yeah. Well, I say I have a lot of people that I know that have shifted their mental health. And I remember when it happened for me, it was like, ooh, I felt a little more crisp and clear and less heavy. Like it was, but it wasn't almost physical. It was just like a new layer of clarity.
Mm,
And I know people who have healed themselves, or at least caused the issues to be manageable, that have had like mental health issues.
mm,
Um, right now, Black Americans are or I think his word is African Americans, are the fastest growing demographic to go plant based. And I think that is absolutely amazing.
yeah,
One, because usually the issues that we think we inherit are just what we're inheriting are the same habits. So it's like, oh, so and so died of, this illness. So I'm more than likely going to have it too. But the illnesses are usually caused by the foods that we consume. Usually it's by the foods. So if we keep repeating that same habit, then yeah, you're more than likely going to end up with the same type of experience.
yeah,
So I think now, like, you know, these generations now are realizing, like, okay, I don't want to be cramped over and not able to move, but still have to be here and pay bills and do that. And I can't enjoy my life. Like, you want to thrive as long, like I don't mind getting older, but I don't want to embody older, if that makes any
yeah,
sense. you
Oh,
know, so I want to be thriving until I'm laughing and then I just check out of here.
that's awesome.
So, but yeah, my point is that we want to live less stressful lives. You
Mhm.
know, if you ever had to watch somebody or see somebody die or help take care of somebody, you don't want to end up in that same experience.
No. Yeah,
Yeah.
I completely understand that.
Yeah.
I had that mental, shift too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how old I was. I think I was 13 or 12.
Okay. And
Yeah.
what shifted for you?
I don't know, I just a lot of things I did just felt lighter. Like,
Okay.
even, like, school, like, I didn't feel so my brain didn't feel so clogged, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does make
Not
sense.
only, like, my physical weight felt lighter, like, my brain lightened up, like, I was able to take a minute and think about things fully without, like, constantly going, if that makes
Yeah. Yep. I totally understand what
It's
you
hard
mean.
to explain.
You right. If you explain to another vegan, we get it. But if you explain to somebody else, because
Yeah,
all they know is what they know.
exactly.
So, because I try to tell people, explain it, but I'm like, they're not gonna understand
You're
it
not
because
gonna get this.
you gotta feel it. Yeah. But
Yeah.
it's like it takes a layer of dead energy off of you or something like
Yes,
that.
that's yeah,
Yeah, it's like dead energy because that's what you're consuming. You're consuming
yeah,
a dead body. So and you're gonna have that energy reflected, on you as well, which that's a whole other conversation. Because I do believe that you don't just consume the flesh, you also consume the energy as well. Like how could you not?
yeah,
So yeah, when you stop eating the death, then some of the death comes on off.
everything has energy, so
Yeah.
that's perfect example. How can we donate to your vegan food bank, and can we send online donations and donate in person?
Yes, you can do both. So, online, and it's completely tax deductible. We are fiscally sponsored by Better Food Foundation. Well, let me see here. So it is vegans of LA dot networkforgood.com. So again, vegans with an S, VEGANS of LA dot networkforgood.com, and you will get a tax donation receipt.
Okay. Yes, I will link that down below if anybody would like to donate, and I'm assuming there's information there where you can donate in person as well?
Yeah, you can come and donate in person at the food bank. We're done for the rest of this year, but we will be resuming back on January 19th. So we operate once per month,
Okay.
and that's every third Thursday of the month. The food bank opens up at 8. We're from 8 to 10. But if you want to come and volunteer,
Mhm.
get there before 7:45 a.m. It's we Within that 2 hours, we get over 300 people at that particular location. So it's intense, but
Yeah,
it's wonderful. People are filled with so much gratitude and
yeah.
yeah, so people are very, very appreciative for your presence.
Okay.
And also on the third Wednesday is the day before the food bank. We have where people can come volunteer to help sort produce.
Okay.
So if you want to do that, you can show up. We start at approximately 10:45, 11, and we go until about 2 o'clock.
Okay, perfect. And I will put all of that information down below so you can revisit it and, you know, do your thing.
Sounds good.
Are there any resources you would like my followers and me to read, watch, or listen to?
I would definitely say if you have not had the experience of watching Dairy is Effing Scary, there's no like blood or slaughtering in it, but it shows you, just in case you don't know, it shows you what we do with factory farm cows and what what's hooked up to them, what the living conditions are usually like. So her name is spelled Erin, Erin. Last name Janus, Janus, and it's called Dairy is Effing Scary. It actually, most of them actually spell the word effing out. So just so you know. Um, I'm trying to think another one. Oh, this one is called The Invisible Vegan, by Jasmine Levya, Levya. This is a film about, this was done a few years ago, but this was about the invisibility of Black vegans in the movement and our culinary culture and legacy, and how we, started from the bottom, now we're here. So it's some really great conversations in there. And then you can follow me if you want to see my work and see how the food bank operates and what the community is like. You can go on Instagram to Vegans of Los Angeles _.
Okay. And that's where they can find you. Is there anything else connected to you that you want me to put for the
If anyone is interested in volunteering, you can send us a text at 626-88 go veg. 626-88 go veg. So send us a text and then we'll text back, because the DM, sometimes I need to take a break from Instagram, and so sometimes I give myself like a week and like I don't check DMs, but
Yeah.
I will respond to a text message.
Okay, so all of that, the sources, where to find you, where you can donate, where you can go or volunteer, send the text message, that will all be linked below. Yes, and if you have any additional resources you think of, you can email them to me, and I will also put those down below. Okay, well, thank you so much for taking your time to do this interview. Make sure you follow Gwenna on the social media platforms and check out the food bank she is a part of. Make sure to follow our other social media platforms as well so you don't miss out on more interviews and important information. I hope you enjoyed the 15th episode of Society Inspired, and we will see you guys next time.
Thank you so much, Gemma.